Well, let's bring in David Smith, the Guardian's Washington bureau chief now. Good to have you, David. So quite the announcement from Trump. How likely is it that this deal will be signed this weekend?
It's a great question because I think some people's response to this will be the boy who cried wolf. We've heard Donald Trump suggest many times in the past that the US and Iran are very close to a deal. I think there was one count that he'd said it 38 times since this war began, and yet hours later, we often find ourselves back to square one. The good news here appears to be, according to Trump himself, that the US feels it's made progress and has other countries in the region on board, Benjamin Netanyahu in Israel and Qatar and other countries in the Middle East. However, there are some signs already of an Iranian response saying that nothing has been agreed to, and you shouldn't just take Trump's word for this. So I think it does remain an open question. There's some reporting in Washington that the US feels it has made progress on issues such as the unfreezing of Iranian assets, how Iran's nuclear program would be negotiated, and some other matters. But really, I think it's going to be a case now of time will tell whether this is different from all those other instances that we've seen in past weeks.
And David, this is quite unexpected because it comes after those attacks between the two sides that have been going on for days now.
Yes, obviously the latest upsurge began with the downing of that US Apache helicopter. Donald Trump said he felt there was no choice but to respond. And so we have seen US strikes on Iran and Iranian retaliation. That really provoked great fears of an escalation, perhaps a return to all-out war, and perhaps that has really concentrated minds on both sides. Certainly in the White House, where I think at least Donald Trump's advisors are aware this is an extremely unpopular war in the United States. Opinion polls show the public are against it. They just don't understand why this is happening. There've also been warnings that the longer this goes on, just the more it's going to hurt oil markets with a knock-on effect on the price of petrol for American consumers, all potentially disastrous for Republicans going into the midterm elections. So despite his protests and sometimes surprising statements saying, he doesn't care about inflation, or he loves inflation, and this is all about Iran's nuclear weapon, and he brought that up again today, saying it won't have one. Perhaps Trump has been feeling some of the pressure here, desperately needs some kind of get out, and perhaps feels now that he is on the brink of some sort of deal. And then the devil is going to in the details. What is in that deal? And I suspect Donald Trump's critics will be quick to say it doesn't really advance much. In fact, it's maybe similar to Barack Obama's nuclear deal. And in fact, the US may be in a weaker position than it was before this war began.
David, thank you so much for bringing us up to speed. David Smith there, the Guardian's Washington bureau chief.